Hey gang, I got an offer for you today from LinkedIn. As business to business marketers, your needs are unique. B2B buying cycles are long and your customers face incredibly complex decisions. Isn't it time you had a marketing platform built specifically for you? LinkedIn ads empower marketers with solutions for you and your customers. LinkedIn ads allow you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. On LinkedIn, you have direct access to build relationships with decision makers. Of the 875 million users on the network, 180 million are senior level executives. 10 million are C-level executives. You will also be able to drive results with targeting and measuring with their tools built specifically for B2B. And best of all, they work. Audiences exposed to brand messages on LinkedIn are 6 times more likely to convert. LinkedIn ads also rank #1 for security, community, and ad experience as part of the Business Insider's Digital Trust Study. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit. It's a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. It's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. So the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, and how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. By now you know I'm Seth. I am with a great guy here. This guy is the accidental solopreneur himself. He actually wrote the book Accidental Solopreneur, which is a parable, which we'll get into what the heck a parable is, because I'm like, I could have looked it up. I wanted to hear it in your words. I'm here with Dennis Geelan, right? Is that right?
You got it right, Dennis Geelen.
Yes,
Yep.
first time. Nice. Awesome. So I'm with Dennis here. You've written 4 books. So is this your latest? I think this is your latest.
Number 4. Yep.
This is number 4, and it's a parable. So I assume that means something like it's kind of true with some lessons, but not fully true. Well, what is a parable?
Yeah, so a parable is really just a fictional story with a lesson to it, right?
Ooh.
So in this case, I could have just written my own autobiographical story like you and I were talking about
Yeah.
ahead of the podcast here, but I wanted to make it a little more interesting, add in some other stuff to create some more tension, so I just
Mhm.
completely just went with a fictional parable, although it's like 80% based on me and my journey, right? So
Well, yeah, I mean, based on your background, you are 43 and you finally were thrusted into entrepreneurship. And
yeah.
you kind of jokingly, I assume jokingly, say like you didn't have an entrepreneur bone in your body, or you didn't think you did.
Mhm.
And then, oh crap, I'm on my own now.
Yeah. Well,
Which is
here's the
exactly what
thing.
happened. Which is exactly what happened to the guy, to Alex in the story too.
Yeah, exactly.
Coincidentally, huh?
Yeah, imagine. Yeah. Well, I say I didn't have an entrepreneurial bone in my body because growing up,
Mm-hmm.
I did not have entrepreneurial parents. I had a very
Oh.
risk averse, follow the script type of
Mm.
upbringing, right?
Yeah.
You get the post secondary education, you get a good job, then you
Yeah.
get married, then you buy a house, you have some kids, you put away 10%, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Eventually you retire at 65 and it's safe and it's comfortable. And that's what we're supposed to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Not that
Yeah.
there's anything wrong with it. It works great for some people and it was working great for me. I thought this is what you're supposed to do, and I
Until
thought it was
43 happened.
safe. Well, until I found out it wasn't as safe and comfortable as I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was. I
Yeah.
got laid off. Right
Yeah.
here, I am at
Loyalty.
43.
Yeah, loyalty is not there anymore like it used to
Yeah,
be. Yeah.
where's the safe part? Where's the
Mm-hmm.
comfortable part? I was suddenly panicking. My world was turned upside down. And I would say a couple years leading up to that, I did start to get this entrepreneurial itch. I would say
Ooh.
my late 30s, I was
Mm-hmm.
starting to feel like, okay, check, got the degree, check, got the house, check, got married, check, raising the kids, check, doing well in my corporate job. And then it was like, is that it? There's got
Yeah.
to be more to life than these check marks.
Mm-hmm.
What legacy am I actually leaving? Am I actually doing anything that fulfills me? Am I doing something that is meaning something? Have I really met my full potential? I was really starting to have those questions. And then at
That happens
43,
that happens at midlife too, so.
yeah, well, I think especially for somebody who has taken the safe route, right?
Mhm.
You're comfortable, but not fulfilled. And that's the
Mm.
spot I found myself in. I was living a very comfortable life,
Yeah,
no debt, doing well financially, had the good job, had the house and the kids,
yeah.
but something was missing.
So you were lucky because you did everything safe going up to this. When you were let go, you had some savings, I assume, right?
I had 3 things really going for me. So
Okay.
I was laid off. Actually, I should let you know, Seth, my initial reaction was, I gotta jump back into the script. I just gotta get my next
Mhm.
corporate job. That's the safe. That's the right thing to do. And that
Yeah.
years of programming taught me
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
But I had 3 things going for me in my favor. A, I had been very good with my finances leading up to
Mhm.
that. So I was in a pretty good position. B, I was also given a severance package,
Ooh, that's always
right?
nice. Yeah.
So there's, another nice cushion there. And 3, probably most importantly, I had huge support from my wife.
That's almost most important. It's almost number 1.
Well, she was the one that really said to me, Dennis,
Mhm.
sure, you could jump back in and find another corporate job,
Mhm.
but are you not the same guy that's been asking these questions the last few years? What if? Isn't there more?
Mhm.
What better time?
Why not try it? Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's exactly what she said to me with the caveat too of why not try it for a full year? She really encouraged me to don't just dabble. We're
Yeah.
fine financially. You've been given this time. Been given this opportunity.
Mhm.
If you really want to look back when you're 65, 70 years old and not have any regrets, give it an entire year. And then you'll know I did it. Whether
Yeah.
it's successful or whether it fails, you won't have any regrets at that point. So I was like, that's pretty good advice. I think I'm going to take that. I got the backing of my
Yeah,
wife. Yeah.
best business advisor person is your wife.
There you go.
If she's got
Yeah.
your back, that's a good thing. We're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
Hey there, it's Jason with the Marketing Podcast Network. Real quick, I want to make sure you know that the world's leading B2B Marketing Expo is returning to the Los Angeles Convention Center on March 21st and 22nd. It's high time we got back together to learn, see the latest technologies and solutions, and network, right? Join thousands of marketing professionals just like you to learn from over 250 industry expert speakers, educational masterclasses, and over 300 exhibitors. And this year, your ticket also gets you into the Sales Innovation Expo and the Marketing and Advertising Expo. So it's like 3 conferences in one. It's March 21st and 22nd at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Go to b2bmarketingexpo.us to register. That's b2bmarketingexpo.us. The Marketing Podcast Network is a proud partner of the B2B Marketing Expo for 2023. We'll see you in LA.
Yeah. So those 3 things are in my
That's
corner
awesome.
already. So that was really the jumping off point for me.
All right, so I'm gonna jump into these are the 3 big questions of the show. What's the best thing since being thrusted into entrepreneurship? Because, you might have wanted to do a side hustle first, whatever. You didn't. You were like, "I'm in it." What's the best thing that you found being an entrepreneur versus being an cog?
Yeah. I would say it humbled me and in a
Mm,
good way.
yeah.
Initially, I was very prideful and naive. I was like, I got 20 plus years in the corporate world. No problem. I'll start a
Mm.
business. I'll just announce to the world that I'm a consultant
Sounds
and
like Alex.
yeah, clients will line up at my door, right? It sounds familiar from the book.
Yeah.
I soon found out, holy smokes, I have a lot to learn about starting and growing a business.
Yeah,
I
it
had
kicks you in
no
the butt real
experience
fast,
in,
yeah.
yeah, I didn't have a background in branding and marketing and
Mm.
sales. My background was all on the operations side,
Oh, wow, yeah.
right? I knew what to do once I landed a client. I had no idea how to land
Mhm.
a client.
Oh,
So I
yeah,
quickly became humbled
yeah,
and it forced me to get outside my comfort zone. Luckily, I like to learn. So I dove
that's a
in
good
and
thing.
started learning as much as I can about branding, marketing, sales. And that was exciting for me.
That's fantastic. So what is awesome then on the flip side, what's the scariest thing? Which you kinda answered already, but what's the scariest thing about being an entrepreneur?
It's all on your shoulders. And that really hit home for me probably maybe the second week after I had decided to start my own business. The first week it was all happiness and, oh, I'm going to do
Yeah,
this, I'm going to do this, and I had all
shiny
these
objects,
plans.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And then the second week when I sat down on like a Monday morning, I realized, well, I got an empty calendar.
Oh, no, yeah, this reality sets in.
Yeah, like what should I be doing today? What is the
Mhm.
right thing to do? Like, I was so used to 20 plus years of working in corporate where your calendar is pretty much filled up for you.
Mm.
You got
Yeah,
your weekly meetings here, you got your reports due here, you got your one-on-ones here, you got your strategy meetings here. Suddenly, my day was not planned out for me. My week was not planned out for me. It was all on my shoulders.
it's
I had a
so
blank
scary.
slate, which is exciting, but holy crap, I have to come up with how do I manage all this time appropriately? That was scary.
That is scary. I can admit it's still scary after 15 years doing my business, looking at my day and saying, "Oh, no, I gotta figure out how to fill this day up, otherwise I'm gonna be bored out of off my tuchus here." So it's like, you
Yeah.
know what? And also I'm not gonna bring money in if I'm not busy doing stuff.
Yeah.
So I can totally attest to that. That is totally a scary moment. That actually, in the almost 100 episodes we've had, and this will be after the 100th episode launches, not many people have said that, that this about the schedule. And that's really a big one is,
Scared the crap out of me.
managing your time.
Yeah, and appropriately. I mean, I can fill my day, no problem.
It's so
How do
easy.
I fill my day appropriately and productively that's going to make the most sense and make the most impact on my business? That
Yeah.
was scary for me.
So with the work from home, I'm gonna break from the questions, the prepared questions.
Sure.
There's only three, but from the COVID times that we're kind of whatever we're in, we're not, we're not, depending on what day we wake up.
Yep.
How's it been? I mean, because I assume that this was what 2018 you were laid off from what you said.
2018. Yep.
So that was what 3 years prior to our enforced work from home. So
Yeah.
you were working from home since 2018, right?
I started my own management consulting company.
Yes.
So for a lot of my clients, I was going on site to their office
Ooh,
to work with them. The rest of the days I was at home. But
yeah.
when I was working with a client, I would be in their boardrooms meeting with
Oh, so you
their
get the
senior
best.
leadership.
So you had the best of both worlds then, because you got out of the house.
I was also doing a lot of workshops. So I would rent conference spaces and I would promote my own workshops. That was a huge lead generator for me.
Oh
So I put
wow,
on these
yeah,
workshops and anybody could pay to come, and it was introducing me to all these businesses in my area.
yeah.
That was huge. And that obviously got shut down with COVID as well.
Oh, so how was that for you? I mean, these are kind of date all these podcasts. Is like, well, how was it for you? The COVID,
Yeah.
how did that realign your whole idea of working from home? And
I
because you just said you had these external events that you did. You got out of the house for crying out
yeah.
loud. And now
Yeah.
you're like, oh man, if I go out, I have to wear a mask, which of course in the Canadian winter is actually probably nice because it keeps your face warm. But other than that, you know, how was that for you?
I looking back on it now,
Yeah.
I like to compare it to the moment when I was laid off. It was
Yeah.
a shocking moment. It came out of left field.
Mhm.
Everything I had been building was now thrown out from underneath my feet.
Yeah.
Very similar feeling I was going through to being laid off from my corporate job. It was like, now what? I have to
Mhm.
pivot. I have to do something different. I can't
Yeah.
host these workshops. I had to cancel all the ones that I had. I had a
Oh.
bunch of consulting engagements lined up. All but one of them got canceled or postponed.
Oh,
One
you're lucky
company,
you kept one. Ooh.
one of them I was knee deep in and they were loving what I was doing. So we just
Nice.
decided to continue going
Oh, that's
remote.
fortunate.
But
Yeah.
a ton of revenue in the pipeline was gone.
Poof.
So
Yeah.
what I decided to do was same thing I did when I was let go. Well, what I've been given time, I've been given opportunity. I had just figured out really how to get my business going and everything was looking good. So I was good
Yeah.
on the financial side. I had just done a whole
Again.
bunch of
Yeah, there you go.
consulting.
Yeah.
So I had time, I had money, and I had opportunity. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write a really good book.
Oh, so the book started with the pandemic.
So this was the zero in formula. So
Okay.
my consulting company is Zero In. This is when I put out the Zero In formula. It was actually my third book. The first
Oh.
two were not very good. I wanted to really, yeah,
Third time's the charm. Hey, go for
exactly.
it.
I said, okay, now I'm going to actually do a really good book.
You
I'm going
have
to
time. Go for it. Yeah.
exactly. So that's what I did when the pandemic hit was I sat down and I really put my effort into a really good book. one that I can put my name behind, and I know it's going to
And you're
increase
proud
my
of, yeah.
credibility. And it came out in, I think, September, October of 2020. So we're like 7, 8 months into the
Ooh,
pandemic. So
that's
just as
fast.
things
I
were
guess
starting to open.
but
Yeah,
it's
well, when you have that much time on your hands, you're
I
able to
kind of think
sit
it was
down and
September 2020 or 2021.
2020. So I think it
Oh,
was
you're in
February
Canada,
or
so it's
March of
different.
2020 when everything kind of shut down, and it
Oh, it
was
shut down fast. Yeah.
yeah, September, October was when my book
Oh
came
yeah,
out.
we had the opening a little bit, and then everything shut down again.
Yeah, that's
Everything's like,
right.
ah, it was too soon. Ah.
Yeah. No, it was great. It got me on all kinds of podcasts like this
Mm-hmm.
one, all
Hey.
kinds of articles written about the book. I did book signings. Like
Oh, that's
it
awesome. So it
really
opened up
got,
just in the right amount of time.
yeah,
You emerge from the hole, poke your head out like a groundhog, look out there, and then you're
exactly.
like, "Hey, I have a book now." That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
'Cause I find that a lot of people, there's a book in me with all these interviews. There's got to be a book in me for something with entrepreneurship, or I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something there.
For sure.
But I find that a lot of entrepreneurs write books because they have all this experience. If for anyone else, it's for themselves to write the stuff down, so they have it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think,
the thing about being a consultant that I learned
mhm.
early on was A, I had to really pick a niche, and B, I
Mm,
had to really come up with what is my offer? What is my
that's a big one. Yeah,
proprietary process? What is my system? What are my steps? Because that's what people are buying. They're
yeah,
not
because
buying
consulting's
me and
very
my
general.
time,
Yeah.
right? So then once I really had that refined, now I've got something I can put into a book. So that's where the zero in formula came from. That was my formula that I use when I'm working with the businesses. So
And then you got creative with the Accidental Solopreneur, which sounds more like it's 95% you and 5%. Because the more you're talking, the more I'm like, no, this is still Dennis. This is still Dennis.
So the thing with the accidental solopreneur was I never intended, just like I never intended to be a solopreneur, I
Yeah.
never intended to coach other solopreneurs,
Yeah.
right? My whole plan originally was I'm going to be a consultant for businesses. I'm going to help them with
Yes.
their customer experience and their innovation, and that's what the zero in formula is all about. What
Yeah.
happened was I was sharing my journey online from day one. 2018, when I decided to go off and start Zero In,
Oh, that's
I'm
awesome.
journaling it. I'm writing about it. It's all mostly on LinkedIn. Here's what
Yeah.
I'm doing. Here's what's working. Here's what's not working. Here's the
I like
tactics. Here's the strategies.
growing and building
Yep.
in public. Yeah.
So that resonated with a ton of people that wanted to do what I'm doing. Hey, I want to start my own consulting business. Can I pick your brain for a minute? And I'm like, I really wish that all
You
these
had
people that
something.
were reaching out to pick my brain were actually companies that were looking to hire me as a
Mm.
consultant. And that was happening, but for every company that reached
So
out, I was
there's a
getting 10
pivot.
individuals, right?
So is it a pivot or is it an ancillary thing? Do you still do
Well,
consulting for
being
companies?
a little slow on the uptake, it took me a while. I was having all these free Zoom calls with people.
Hey,
Here's what I did. Here's what I
your network grow.
suggest.
Yeah.
Yep. It took me a while. And then also, I was having people pick my brain about writing a book because the Zero In formula really
Yeah.
took off. It hit bestseller in 4
Mhm.
countries. It got translated into Spanish. It got me on all these
Ooh,
podcasts.
that's
So all
awesome.
these people are picking my brain. The light bulb finally goes off in late 2021. Hey, I got a secondary market here.
That's another niche.
Right. Instead of only writing books for businesses, instead of only consulting for businesses, I can
Yeah,
also write a book for solopreneurs. I can also
that's awesome.
coach other solopreneurs. So that's where the idea of the Accidental Solopreneur book came from. It was kind of an accident as well. It was never in my plans.
Oh, it's the best kind of stuff, you know. So then here's the third question. What is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
To carry with me, I would say once I realized that I had a ton to learn
Mm-hmm.
and I humbled myself, it was carrying that mindset.
Ooh,
The
that's a good one.
mindset of I'm always going to have a ton to learn. Every person I interact with, there's something to learn from.
Mm.
And I need to be gracious to share that with people coming up a couple steps behind me. So just carrying that mindset that I'm always somewhere in the middle. There's always people 2 or 3 steps ahead of me that I can
Mhm.
learn from. And there's always people 2 or 3 steps behind me that I can pay it forward to.
That's
That's what
awesome.
I'm trying to carry with me day to day.
I guess it also helps stop imposter syndrome because you know that you're humble. Like I'm not where Bill Gates is. But I'm also not where the kids right out of college is. You're
Yeah.
very much not where the kids, well, you're not where the guy who just got laid off from his job is. You're beyond that, and it kind of helps with, I guess it helps with imposter syndrome. I know a lot of entrepreneurs face imposter syndrome incredibly much.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I make up words all the time, so go for it.
I've definitely struggled with that. And
Mhm.
I would say when I was about to release the book, The Accidental Solopreneur, I went through a bit of a bout of that. Who am I to put this book out?
Mm.
And then the number of people that have read the book
It's so
that have
good.
then reached out and went, oh my goodness, Dennis, that's my story. Oh my goodness, I wish I had read this 4 years ago. That was just this validation that,
Oh, it's awesome,
this
yeah.
book is valuable to people.
And it's an easy read. It's one of those
Yeah.
books that you're on like, I'm halfway through the book. Granted, I have a 10-year-old child, I have a dog who has stomach issues, so that got in the way this week. This is gonna be dated right now because it's, it's not coming out for a little while,
Yeah.
but the book is easy to read. I read half the book in a day. It was just like,
Yeah.
whoa. And then in addition to that, because it is a parable, I actually learned something. It wasn't like, oh, I kind of learned the philosophical mumbo jumbo. You actually learn concrete stuff, which is really neat
Yeah.
because you relate to it. You learn something. It's an easy read. It's a fun read. So
Okay.
Dennis, where can people find you online? Let me guess. LinkedIn?
LinkedIn would be the social media platform that I'm
Mhm.
most active on. And then my website, you can find out all about me, my book, my courses. So
We'll
that's
have it in the
just,
show notes. Yeah.
DennisGeelan.me. So
But that's great. Dennis, thank you so much for being on the program. And we'll see everyone next week. That was a great show. Hey, if you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please give us a review on the podcast directory of your choice. We're on all of them. And these reviews really help others find the show. Also, if you're getting value from the show and want to buy me a coffee, go to the show notes and click on the link to help me stay awake while I bring you more great episodes to your ears. That's in the show notes, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care, guys. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode. This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Neville Hobson and Shell Holtz are the legendary hosts of FIR4 Immediate Release, a great podcast. Shell, tell us what these fine folks will get when they listen.
Well, Jason Neville and I have been producing FIR since January of 2005. It's the very first PR communications podcast ever. We analyze current news and trends from a communication perspective with a short episode or two each week and a longer, more in-depth show every month.
Awesome. Where can people subscribe?
Well, they can go to firpodcastnetwork.com. They can find the show, of course, at marketingpodcast.net or search for Immediate Release wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard him, folks. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.